Hello and welcome to a special edition of Swipe. This week brought to you from the capital's XL Centre during London's first ever Tech Week. Coming up, thinking it through, scientists seek to unlock the mysteries of the brain. Getting hands-on, we check out the 3D printing pen and an interesting new way to get around. A modern hack, the Tate plans to bring art and technology closer. And we've mixed martial arts and a zombie takeover in this week's Games Review. But first, if you're wondering what Technology Week actually means, it's basically just a major opportunity for London to show off its tech expertise and shout about becoming perhaps the next Silicon Valley. Thousands of investors, developers and entrepreneurs have been attending events across the city, where they've also been hearing from tech giants like Google and Microsoft, as well as some UK homegrown companies. But there's one very special project that's got a lot of people thinking. A team of scientists are building a virtual brain from big data. Sky's Stuart Duggan has been to find out more.
Go to a presentation at an event like London Tech Week and you can expect to see computer chips, final products and endless lists of specifications. But here at a talk from one of the people behind the Human Brain Project, they're keeping things strictly organic. The idea? To build a complete brain using computers. The research could lead to crucial advances in healthcare.
We are now living longer, but then when you're getting older, your brain becomes more and more important to maintain its function. Because it's not about living longer, it's also about living happy, right? And living even more, not just healthy on the body, but healthy on the brain.
When we think of brain mapping, it's natural to ask what it could mean for advances in health and medicine. But the people behind the Human Brain Project, and ones like it, want to influence advances in technology too.
We hope to learn principles of how you can make brain-like functions into hardware chips that use very, very low power. So things that could be helpful to be recognizing objects and to be making intelligent decisions in small computing devices.
Not everyone is a fan of the Human Brain Project. Some scientists say it's too concerned with simply replicating the brain.
The main focus of neuroscience is really to try to relate the complex activity that we observe in the brain to complex behavior. If we just focus our resources on reproducing some of the complex activity of the brain, that's not answering this question about how does that complex activity give rise to all of the amazing, flexible, adaptive behaviors that we observe in animals.
Others have criticised the Human Brain Project for its budget of €1 billion, a lot of money even when you spread it over its 10-year duration. But its supporters say it will all be worthwhile, that what's inside our heads holds the key to great advances in science, medicine and technology. Stuart Duggan, Imperial College, London.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up, from electric bikes to 3D printing pens, we're geeking out over gadgets. Well, now I'm joined by one of London's tech ambassadors, Derek White. You're also Barclays Chief Design Officer.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about your role as tech ambassador. What exactly do you do?
It comes down to two things. We have the privilege of creating the great awareness of London as the global capital for technology, as well as focusing on bringing foreign investment into the UK.
Now, you mentioned the global capital there, but there are always a lot of comparisons being drawn, London and Silicon Valley. But in Silicon Valley, surely every week is a tech week. So why is it that London suddenly has to make a big old song and dance about it with London Tech Week?
The beauty is that every week is a tech week in London as well. But not everyone's aware of it. And that's why they're the ambassadors. We're here to help heighten the awareness that London is the tech capital and that every week is a tech week.
It's quite an expensive way to do it, though, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot of taxpayers' money, essentially covering the cost of a massive networking event.
But look at the awareness that's generated out of it. Everyone's aware. We have you here with us today talking about it. How wonderful is that? People are learning about and experiencing more of the technology that emanates from London and the fabric of the ecosystem that's connecting entrepreneurs, technologists, government, academia, and large corporations together, coming together to create the technology of our future.
Are you going to hold one of these every year?
We'll see. That's up for others to decide, but we're very excited about and pleased with the progress to date.
All right, Derek White, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up, why the Tate Modern has been welcoming hackers. London Tech Week isn't just about grand plans and big announcements. There's also plenty of fun stuff happening too. And let's face it, we all love a good gadget. So we decided to take a trip to the other side of London and hook up with Stuart Miles at Pocketland's Tech Tavern. Woo!
So this is the Yike bike, probably called that because you go yikes like you would on a Scooby-Doo movie. It's a new electric-powered bicycle come modern-day penny farthing that allows you to go up to 15 miles an hour, which certainly gives you enough wind in your face to scare the bejeebers out of you. You control it by leaning back and steering with the steering wheel, the handlebars behind you, and there's indicators if you really fancy dicing the traffic in London as well. Overall, it's good fun, although we are pretty petrified when we cycle on the roads, and certainly cycling up and down here. The catch, unfortunately, is £2,500, but maybe one day in the distant future, this might be the latest Boris bike, rather than what we've got now. 3D printing is a huge craze at the moment, but with quite high entry level for prices for the big 3D printers. 3Doodler has come up with a cheaper option for £99. The idea is it's like a pen, very much similar to the hot glue guns we used to have at school, but it allows you to print things by drawing them as if you're writing in the air. Now, there's a number of templates on the site to get you going, like a pair of glasses to make me more intelligent, or even a moustache to get me ready for Movember. It's good fun, it's very simple to use. You put some ABS plastic, the same stuff they make Lego in, and that goes down into the machine itself, it heats up and off you go. And really, it's just as easy as that. So when I was a kid, it was all about Scalextric, but the tech-savvy kids and even adults these days want something a bit more modern tech. In steps the Anki drive. An interesting concept, which is where you control everything via your phone, and there's an AI cars that run around the racetrack. You can either choose regular racing or you can choose to have battle mode, and it's pretty good fun. The great thing is that it doesn't stop. You can choose how much interaction you want to be involved in, not about speed and direction, but otherwise it will just continue to go round regardless. And the track itself can be moved around, perched up, and it will still continue. There's 5 cars in the UK. There's a starter set for £179, and extra cars are £45 each. But there's hope and more to come with multiple cars, multiple tracks in the future, and even Android support as well. What's really interesting is some of the little niceties about it all, which is some of the cars have special powers which others don't, and some won't even let you play them until you've beaten them around the track yourself.
And back here at London's ExCeL Centre, I'm joined by another of the capital tech ambassadors. This is Janet Coyle, who also happens to be the Managing Director of SV to UK, which is Silicon Valley to UK. And just tell us what that is.
So Silicon Valley comes to the UK is essentially a programme to support entrepreneurs across the UK to help first-time CEOs to scale up their businesses, but also to inspire students to consider a career in entrepreneurship, and it's a very high-impact choice to make in the future.
Janet, one thing I've noticed since we've been here today and at some of the events this week, there aren't all that many women around, are there? Why is that?
Well, there are. I mean, I think the numbers are increasing in women in technology, but we would love to see much larger representation of women in tech. I think the numbers at the moment are around, I don't know, 50%. My world is very much the entrepreneurial world as opposed to the big tech companies. And I think there's about 15% of women. And, you know, we and others are doing a lot to try and encourage a lot more women into technology, and also to support those that are already running technology businesses to help them scale up those businesses.
But why aren't there more women like you? What is it? Are they being put off, or are they just not interested?
I think they're interested. I think it goes way back potentially to what children are studying at school, and I think, you know, we as a community need to be encouraging a lot more girls to have the ambition and have much broader career aspirations about studying maths and science.
And there are statistics that show that a lot of girls at school age are actually outperforming boys in computing subjects, but is it just they just don't want to stick with it, or what?
That's it. I think there's so many other sort of temptations out there, and I honestly don't think a lot of them understand the opportunities that are open to them if they study maths and science. So we're running a programme at the moment to take entrepreneurs into schools, a lot of those being female entrepreneurs, to inspire those girls to think about those aspirations and career choices and get them to really think about studying maths and science.
Okay, best of luck with that. Janet Coyle, Managing Director of SVT UK, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up, games that'll get your heart racing, from ultimate fighting to escaping the zombies. But first, away from Tech Week, there's plenty of other innovative projects going on in the capital. This week, Sky's Katie Spencer has been checking out a special hackathon at the Tate Modern.
For 24 hours at London's Tate Modern, the hackers took over.
I'm making an app called Storyjar, and it's a way for parents to get prompts for ideas for stories they can tell and make up with their kids.
In the Tate's Turbine Hall, 150 artists set about creating new digital artworks as part of a special hackathon.
And an art hack is where we try and pull together as many sort of artists with a big A, along with sort of developers and creative technologists, and put them together to try and enable both sort of creative sectors to come together and kind of build something that is digitally focused around the idea of art.
The event was held to mark the launch of a site called The Space. Funded in part by the Arts Council, the £8.6 million project sets out to support new creative ideas. It'll commission 50 new artworks a year. The idea is to take art outside of the four walls of a gallery and instead open it up to the world.
The Space is about changing the basis on which we do art, the way we produce art and the way we consume art, making it more open, making it more democratic.
Many of today's leading artists are recognising the value of digital art and the digital economy.
It's a very exciting time to be an artist. The boundaries are changing and expanding, and there's completely new ways to practice.
And as endorsements go, you can't get much better than having the support of internationally renowned artist Ai Weiwei. Filmed at his studio in Beijing, he sent the site this message of support.
I think many interesting works will come along with this project.
Katie Spencer, Sky News.
Elsewhere this week, here's a recap of some of the other tech stories that have made the headlines. Amazon has introduced a new smartphone with audio and object recognition technology. The new Fire phone also has the ability to render images in 3D. Apart from that, though, it doesn't differ much from other smartphones on the market.
It seems a little gimmicky. I don't know, if people are going to be running out being like, oh, I need to get, this 3D phone. But it's a really neat idea. So it's a little more expensive than I was expecting. But, people might be willing to do that just to kind of have the cool factor of it.
Facebook has launched a new image messaging app in the US after accidentally releasing it on the App Store earlier than planned. Slingshot's features include sharing disappearing photos and videos and sending reaction shots. It's the social networking giant's latest attempt to compete with Snapchat, which it reportedly tried to buy for $3 billion. It's emerged that Nokia was reportedly blackmailed for millions of euros by computer hackers. The company apparently left cash in a car park for the criminals to collect while police watched, but the trail was lost and the crooks are still at large. The hackers threatened to sabotage its smartphone operating system if it didn't oblige. The blackmail attempt happened in 2008, but has only just been revealed. Mass surveillance of social media is legal in UK law. That's according to the government's top anti-terror chief. The admission that Facebook posts and Google searches can be monitored without a warrant because online accounts are based outside Britain has sparked outrage, with calls for a radical overhaul of snooping laws. YouTube has been slammed over a royalty dispute which could see videos by artists like Adele and Arctic Monkeys disappear from the website. It's because the independent labels they're signed to have refused to agree terms with the Google-owned company over its new music subscription service. They say they've been offered unfair contractual terms compared to larger firms like Universal.
Go!
Oh, it's too fast. I don't think I'm very good at this game. I think we should go and talk to a proper gaming expert. This week, we've got Guy Cocker, who's getting a bit aggressive with zombie takeovers and mixed martial arts.
EA Sports is the biggest sports game maker in the world. They make the likes of NFL, FIFA, NHL, all of the big sports that they produce. But the one they've only just gotten really into is UFC, which is a massively growing sport, mixed martial arts. I wasn't particularly into the sport before I started playing the games, and I've really gotten into it of late. UFC is launching on next-gen consoles, so it's on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So as a result, it looks absolutely spectacular. The characters are almost lifelike in a lot of instances.
And he slams them down.
My one problem with the game is that the normal combat, the standard combat, is really, really fun, but when you go to the ground game, which is a big part of UFC, it's maybe not as fun. It's a bit more complicated and not really as much fun to play. It's a really fun brawler. It's really good if you're a fan of the UFC. If you're a fan of fighting games in general, it might not be for you, but for fans of the UFC and mixed martial arts in general, it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to have to read the name of the next game because it's so long. It's Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition X Plus Alpha. Now this is an expansion pack for the excellent Dead Rising 3, which was an open world zombie game that was released on Xbox One when it came out in November last year. Now I really liked it. There's loads of zombie games out there. This is a particularly good one. Now obviously, as you can tell from that title, it plays on the tropes of the Street Fighter series, which have increasingly ridiculous names. It's actually a really good fun game to play in its own right. You can play in 4-player co-op, and there's lots of individual challenges. It's really an expansion pack, so it only lasts a few hours, but it really does have a lot going for it. It's got the classic Street Fighter characters, but it's also got those messages that you used to see in arcade machines in the 90s where it says winners don't do drugs. That comes up in the game as well. And I think most notably it shows a sense of humour, which you don't really get in a lot of games.
Downright fierce!
By all accounts, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is a really, really good family movie that's coming out soon. I haven't seen it personally. I kind of wish I had, because it would have filled in some of the gaps from this game adaptation. It's not the best game ever, I have to admit. It's a family game that fills in some of the backstory and some of the characters from the movie. You play as one of the 7 kids in the movie, and they're play as their accompanying dragon as well. And the idea is it's an open world action game, kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but obviously in a much more kid-friendly manner. There's some nice touches, definitely. The fact that you can play in co-op, so you can play a parent and a kid together, that's a really nice touch. But overall, it sits in one of those movie tie-ins where there doesn't really seem to have been that much effort put into the game. It's not really that memorable. It's not an amazing amount of fun. But if you've got kids who are really into the movie, they might get something out of it.
Great shot!
Thanks for that, Guy. Well, that's it for this week. And don't forget, you can catch up on all the latest tech news all week on our Sky News for iPad app, our smartphone app, and skynews.com. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.